Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon if you're in New South Wales, and good morning if you're New South Wales or Victoria, and good morning if you're anywhere else in Australia. Good evening if you're in the States, and a very, very, very early good morning if you're in Europe or in South Africa. It's Cedric Gelderman here. Let's get started. Let's get stuck straight in. Now, before we do, I'm not in the normal room from which I present, and this room's quite echoey. So if you're picking up at your end, there's nothing I can do about it, and I appreciate your understanding. So we've got 25 minutes in which to talk about getting more clients. And when people talk to me at workshops or on the phone or at live events or on Skype or whatever, it's the one big thing they say to me, Dick, how do I get more clients? I need more clients. So let's move. Now, for some reason, my slides are frozen up. That's interesting. Don't know what that is. Okay, so you're in the right place if you think that your business is slow and you're looking to find the best strategy to increase turnover. Okay, and you're in the right place if you're a startup practice or a young/immature practice and you want to get new business fast. Or if you've been to a lot of CE events and you're in fact confused about what is the best way to get new clients and to grow your business. Or possibly, and I'm sorry I moved that on a little bit too quickly, if you've wondered whether there's a better way to get new clients than to use the conventional techniques that you hear so much about. So by the end of today's 25-minute training, what I'd like you to understand is that there's absolutely no point in gaining new clients until, first of all, you've served your existing clients in the manner that they want to be served. And to understand that client acquisition is an expensive process, and it's a little bit like a box of chocolates, as the famous saying is by Forrest Gump's mother. You never know what you're going to get. And I'm going to say that part of today is going to be about understanding which new client acquisition strategies will work and what the results are likely to be. And I'll go through a whole heap of new client acquisition strategies and quickly share what sort of results you can expect from them. So the key point, and I've sort of been a little bit tricky, I guess, about this. I've called this webinar Get New Clients, and I've talked in the first couple of slides about getting new clients. And I'm going to now totally turn this on its head and say that you should not and never consider getting new clients until and unless you've served and serviced your existing clients in the manner that they want to be, because it's far cheaper, it's far less expensive to retain existing clients than it is to gain new clients, point one. And point two, a minimal increase in client retention, which is so easy to do, leads to as you can see here, a 5 to 10% increase in client retention leads to a 50 to 100% increase in practice profitability. Okay, a 2% increase in client retention has the same effect as decreasing costs by 10%. Now, the buzzword of our industry is get new clients, get new clients, get more clients, get more clients. Totally wrong, totally wrong. Change the focus to retain existing clients. Now, it's a trap for young players. It's a trap that far, far, far too many practices fall into again and again and again, the trap of focusing on getting new clients before they focus on maintaining or retaining existing clients. So, BFO number one, blinding flash of the obvious number one. Getting new clients is a buzzword and a catch cry, but why? Why? Okay, and there's three pieces of data that I'd like to share here. They just corroborate what I've said over the last couple of minutes. You've got a 40 to a 60% chance of selling to an existing active client, okay, 4 to 6 out of 10. You've got only a 20 to 40%, but it's still 20 to 40% chance of reactivating an existing client. So if you send 100 letters to lapsed clients, nice letters, between 20 and 40 of those clients will actually come and visit you again. Okay, whereas you've only got a 10 to 20% chance of selling to or attracting a new client. I mean, the stats are damning. So why do we typically choose that last strategy when the first two are so much more effective and efficient? So blinding flash to the obvious number two is understanding the costs of attracting a new client. New client acquisition is expensive. Depending on what study you read, it's between 6 and 16 times more expensive to buy, attract, acquire a new client than it is to retain an existing client. Plus, when you attract new clients, whether that's through the Yellow Pages or online or whatever it happens to be that we'll talk about in a minute, you don't know. Like I said, it's like a box of chocolates. You don't know whether you're getting A clients, B clients, or C clients. Whereas if you are reactivating your lost and lapsed clients, you would obviously only try and resurrect or regain your A clients or possibly your A and B clients. Now, the other thing with new clients is that it costs you a lot of money to set up a new client. So when you do your advertising, do your marketing, you have your website, your nurses answer the phone, whatever it happens to be, they walk in the door, you set up their records and all those sorts of things, the profit that you make on that transaction is wiped out by the costs of attracting them in the first place. And so if they are only one-time buyers, if they only come in once, and many new clients are only going to try you or trial you, especially the C's and D's, then there's no profit on acquiring them at all, and it's in actual fact quite expensive. So BFA number 3. You don't need any more clients. You don't need any more clients until you've served and serviced the existing ones properly and maximized their opportunities to use your products and services. Now, there's study after study after study, and the first one that went into this in great detail was the Brachy study from 2010, and 70% of your clients do not know what products and services you have to offer, okay? And the Brachy study shows that they want more from you. They want you to do dentistry, weight loss programs, senior programs, hospice care, etc., etc. And the interesting thing that was in this study was that 70% of clients didn't know what their practices offered, and 70% of the practices offered what those clients actually wanted, but there was a big communication issue and the clients didn't know the practices had it, and the practices never told the clients effectively that they had those services. And so there's a huge glitch. I remember when I was at Green Hills back in the early 2000s or late 90s, we came up with the brainwave of listing everything that we offered our clients, everything that we had available, from semen freezing to puppy preschool to adolescent adventures to hospice care to importing frozen semen for horses, you know, whatever it was. We listed them on the back of our invoice paper and on the back of our letterhead paper. And probably 6 or 7 out of every 10 clients would come to us and say, I didn't know you did this, I didn't know you did that. So that was just stunning to us. We simply wanted to put something on the back of the paper to fill it up. Now, most clients actually go elsewhere to get these services that the Brachy study identified because the client says, because you don't have these products, you don't have these services, and therefore I'll go somewhere else, and that will be to lay acupuncturists, lay chiropractors, the vet down the road who has, you know, that particular kind of food or does dental care or whatever it happens to be. So don't, you know, the curse of assumption is terrible. Do not assume that the clients know what you have. Now, BFA number 4 is the use of ethical cross-selling and upselling techniques. Now, and this needs to be a system. I go to many practices, and I say, do you upsell and do you cross-sell? So if a client comes in and asks for a shampoo, do you offer them a conditioner? If they come in and purchase a flea control product, are you going to sell them worming products? If they buy a brush, do you sell them a comb? If they buy a lead, do you sell them a collar? If they have a surgery, do you offer them pre-anesthetic bloods or fluids? And they say, yeah, we do all that. But it's random at best, and there's no system for it. So the use of ethical cross-selling and upselling techniques can increase your sales by up to 30%. And not to do so is costing your client in big time, and it's costing you big time. And what I mean by costing your client is I think it's inappropriate for a client to walk out with say a flea control product without having been asked about worming, because if the animal's got fleas, it's got worms. It's a little bit like us walking into a paint store and we walk in and we buy and we say, look, we want a can of sealing white, and the person serving us says, yeah, here's your can of sealing white. And you go home and you haven't got any drop cloths, so you go back and you buy drop cloths. You go home, you buy the drop cloths. You go home and then you find you haven't got any little cutting brushes for the edges or masking tape, whatever. So you go back and you go 5 or 6 times. You go to that paint store, whereas if that paint store person had a little list and said, hey, do you mind if I just, people that need to come in and buy sealing white often have some other needs typically that they don't actually know that they have. Do you mind if I just go through this quick checklist? And they go through all those things. You may buy something, you may not. Now, in my model of the world, that's what we need to do too. We are being unethical, in my opinion, by failing to do so. So we're being unethical by neglect, in my opinion. So if you do not have an ethical cross-selling and upselling system in place, that, as I said, this will increase your sales of products and services dollar terms by 30%. And I've done a video on features and benefits, so I access that and have a look at it. It's on YouTube. So do you have a system for this? If not, you need to have, and the system needs to be documented, and everyone needs to be trained in that system. So if you just do this, BFO number 4, you will increase your sales, ethical sales of products and services by up to 30%. So if you're a lady or a man and you walk into a suit store or a dress store and you buy a suit and you don't have the right shirt to go with it, is the salesman doing you a service or a disservice by not offering you a shirt? If you're a lady and you buy you buy a handbag, is the salesperson doing you a service or a disservice by offering you shoes that go along with that handbag or along with that skirt? In my opinion, that salesman is being negligent by neglect, if you like, if they don't do that, by their inactions. So features and benefits system training that I've done previously. Now let's assume that you are a startup and you do need more clients, or if you're a practice in which you service the heck out of your clients, you've got as much happening there as you can, and you do need more clients. So how do you do that? Now, this is an important concept. A new client used to have to be exposed to an idea, and this is not veterinary, this is generic, 5 to 7 times before they converted. So this is why they pound us on TV with Coke ads or Pepsi ads or Hyundai car ads or BMW ads or Gillette shaver ads or whatever it happens to be, because you've got to be exposed 5 to 7 times before you're converted to needing, wanting, thinking about that product. Now, the most recent study that came out in about 3 months ago shows that now you have to be exposed 14 times because we've all been inured by all the ads. Now, interestingly enough, in Australia it's 14 times, in Canada it's 9 times, in the US it's between 7 and 8 times. So if you're an Australian veterinarian, you have to tell your clients more times than any other country in the planet. You have to tell your clients what they need before they become accepting of it. And if you're trying to gain new clients with letterbox dropses or your website or your YouTube videos or ads in the paper or letters to them or whatever it happens to be, whatever mechanism that you use for advertising, you now have to tell them 14 times that you exist before they're actually likely to take action. Now, how many of us will persevere 14 times? Most of us will give up. We'll do one letterbox drop and we get a 1 or 2% return, and we say, oh, okay, it didn't work. We'll put, we put a website up, we think it's really good, but no one comes. We put a couple of YouTube videos up, we put an ad in the newspaper, we do all sorts of these things. We do it once or twice, it doesn't work. Well, we've got to do it 14 times. Okay, and it gives us, what I've called here street cred. We have to be nice and in their face in a positive way, again and again and again for a long period of time before our credibility increases and they come in to use our services. And if we not stop after 1 or 2 promotions, then it's no sale. So you've got to promote your practice. You've got to promote your staff. Your practice has to look brilliant from the street. Your staff have to look brilliant in their uniforms. The place has to be clean. You've got to answer the phone extraordinarily well. I've just gone a fraction too far. This is all part of that 14 times multiplier. You've got to get all this right 14 times before the clients are going to use you. So it's an interesting thought. If you're trying to ethically induce a client to choose you, then ask yourself, why the heck should I, being the client, change from where I'm comfortable with the vet where I'm at, and I may even be slightly uncomfortable there, but I'm not actually unhappy. Why should I change to do business with you? Now, would you listener, viewer, would you swap hairdressers, motor mechanics, dentists, etc. for a $25 voucher or a half-price first consultation? And if you do, then are you the type of client that I want in my new business? If you're that flexible, let's use that word, flexible, that you'll come and choose me for a $25 voucher or something like that, do I really want you? Because then you're likely to move away from me again in due time for another one of those inducements. So the best way to induce a client to use you is by what's called education-based marketing. Education-based marketing, slow, steady marketing. Now I'm just going to go on, I've got about 5 minutes left. I'm just going to go on to some specific strategies, and we're going to start off with the yellow pages. Yep, it is dead. Don't need to say any more than that. You do not need more than a line listing in the yellow pages or the yellow pages online. And please, I don't have time to go into the stats on this today, but if those yellow pages people or yellow pages online people come around and you take more than a line listing for your practice and a line listing for every vet, either electronic or hard copy, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you should really be, and I'm going to say really bluntly, you're burning that money. So BFA number 5, having a referral program is by far and away the best way to get new clients, because you're active. So there's 2 kinds of referral program, an active referral program and a passive referral program. Most clients think, most veterinary practices think they have an active referral program. They don't. They have a passive one. A passive one is where their friend, where a client of theirs, when they're at, say, the Melbourne Cup yesterday, where a friend will say to them, oh, you know, I'm looking for a good vet, and they'll say, yeah, well, you can use my vet, he's okay. So it's a passive word of mouth. It gets around, but there's nothing active about it. An active program involves 2 things. Number 1, where you have advocates, raving fans that will actively refer you, and where you have an active program in place by which your clients, whereby you write to your clients in a very nice way saying, please feel free to recommend me to your friends, acquaintances, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I've got a whole webinar training on this alone, so I can only put in a couple of points. Where you know that you write to your existing clients and ask them to refer you, and when you do it in a nice way, it's not tacky and it works really well. And where your clients are actively looking to refer you to their friends because they know that you want referrals, and they're happy to make them. Unfortunately, studies show that 9 out of 10 of our clients will not refer us to their friends, and there's actually 5 very specific reasons for that I don't have time to go into. But if you believe that your clients are actively promoting you, I'm sorry, they're not. So the best client always comes by referral, and typically this is the cheapest methodology by which to get new clients. And in spite of that, almost no practice has a dedicated, documented referral program. Excuse me. So if you do not have a dedicated, documented referral program, there's a huge upside here for you. Most practices have a referral program that functions best in spite of them. Now, BFA number 6 is to use Google Places. If you do not have your Google Places set up, please do it today. It is free advertising. You also need a website, and not one of these generic websites that you buy from Bayer or Verbac or anything else like that. With respect, they may be okay entry level, but they're just not doing you any favors. You need your own dedicated website. And then the next thing that you need is to do YouTube videos. Your website, Google Places, and YouTube are the 3 best ways. When I'm working with clients these days, these are the 3 things, as well as the referral program, that we use to get new clients, and they cost nothing, literally nothing. Put a clip out on YouTube every week or 2 or 3. Make it regularly on interesting, how to trim your dog's nails painlessly, how to, bath and blow dry your dog. There's all sorts of topics that you can do. Just get creative, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I cannot say too much about these 3 things. And then till about 15, 18 months ago, I hated social media. But I've been using it massively over the last little while, and we've actually doubled the size of a couple of practices in just on 12 months using social media. And specifically, I'm meaning Facebook, certainly not so much Facebook and maybe Pinterest, certainly not Twitter or LinkedIn. Unbelievable. I've actually spent $10,000 going to a course on how to do this. And it was a 4-day course, mind you, and it revolutionized and I can't remember what the word is, but it revolutionized the way I use this, and it is stunning, absolutely stunning, and I'm using it again and again in practices, and the results are truly extraordinary. So I've become a total convert from being an absolute, the opposite. As I said, Facebook, not so much Twitter, Pinterest to some degree, and LinkedIn maybe, but not really. BFA number 9, ads in the newspaper. And they still work, providing you know how to do them and what to do. I would only use newspaper ads if I've used up all the other things, because they're not the worst of the lot. They work consistently, and they work well if you have certain strategies. So for example, if you put newspaper stuff in and have a coupon, and they can send that coupon in the mail, or go to a website and download some stuff, just having an ad in the paper like the ones in front of you now that don't create any action don't work. You've got to have some education-based marketing on the newspaper as part of the ads, and then those people that read that need to take action and go to your website or come into the practice or something. There needs to be a next step. Too many practices will put something in the newspaper and there's no next step, and that is a waste of money. You might as well go and burn the money. Radio and TV. Radio, typically 30-minute spots. It may be okay to create awareness of your practice, but more than that, it's not really worth it. Again, if you tell them to go to your website or come in for a special offer or something, yep, okay, you can get some good benefit out of it, but typically it's too expensive, and yes, it's worth doing, but only if you've done all the other stuff. I mean, this is number 10. You've got to knock the first 9 over and do it well before you want to concentrate on number 10. TV, far too expensive unless you're a corporate or have multiple practice sites. Number 11 is letterbox drops. Now, letterbox drops work excellently. I know I've put it at number 11. When I revised the slide set, I thought I should have probably put it at 7 or 8, but I'd left it here anyway because most practices don't use it and don't use it well. And when you don't use it well, it doesn't work well. But when you do use it well, it can work brilliantly. Really, really, really brilliantly. Again, remember that 14 times multiplier. One letterbox drop doesn't work. Now, statistically, a normal response, if I'm a Woolies or a Coles or an Aldi or a Myer or a DJ's or another huge store, and I'm doing a letterbox drop and I get a 1.5% response, I am happy. That is statistically normal, okay? Now, when my veterinary clients do letterbox drops, until we've had a conversation, they get a 1.5% response and they're ready to slip their wrists, as it were. Well, a 1.5% response for a vet is brilliant. It's normal for a multinational that's selling clothes or shoes or handbags or food or whatever. 1.5% is normal. 1.5% for a vet is great. So you really need to understand the numbers here. And understand how to do this to make it work. But it's worth doing. As I said, you need more than one letterbox drop. We're almost at the end. Number 12 is local events and happenings. So what I mean by that is going to fetes, going to fairs. I just had a client in Melbourne that went to a local fair and they did this exactly the way that they were supposed to, and they got $16,000 business, direct business from the 9 to 3 fair that they went to. Cost them $1,700 all up for the stand, for their nurses' time, for the flyers they handed out, and so you can see that they've got a 5 or 6 times multiple return on their investment. Now, if you had a 5 to 6 times multiple return, you'd be very happy, I'd assume. So they work really well when you do them properly. And doing them properly means that you've got to collect names and email addresses or physical addresses and then write them a letter afterwards, giving them a reason to come into your practice. And when you do that properly, this works stunningly. Now, this practice has done this 3 or 4 years in a row now and got 0 response. This is the first year I'm working with them and they've had this massive response. They're going to now find every local event that they can go to because they have a system in which they can duplicate these. And now we get to one of the really, really, really good ones as well, which are client educational evening. And I've put here, they may even be the fastest way to grow your business. I've left this to last or close to last because not many practices do it, but it needs to be one of the key things that you do. When you hold seminars on, seniors or adolescent dog behavior or feline friendly or feline wellness or breed specific stuff, they only need to be 90 minutes, 60 minutes. They are brilliant, 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 brilliant way to grow your practice, especially when you video them, which costs you nothing on your iPhone or your Samsung Galaxy or whatever. And then you post that on YouTube for the people that can't attend, or you give them as away as Christmas presents to people that couldn't attend. I've got some brilliant strategies around this. Again, practices love this. They work really, really, really well. So you need to know how to do it though. There's a specific strategy that you need to use. If you want to give me a call sometime or send me an email, I'm happy to talk you through it, but we haven't got the time today. So we're right at the end and there's a series of action steps for you. So the first one is to instigate a client retention program, okay? Client retention program. So put someone in charge of, develop a client retention, put someone in charge of developing a program and running it. The next most important thing is to do an active client referral program. The next step is to fix up Google Places if you haven't done that, review your website, start using YouTube videos, and develop a social media marketing program. So they're all the key, they're the 6 keys that I'd suggest that you start focusing on. So that's the end of the training today. I've gone 4 minutes over, so thank you for your understanding. I couldn't race through it any quicker. any more quickly than that. I know you've gotten some great ideas out of today. So now it's time to go and put this into action.